Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Let me make sure my sound is okay. I put it at 100. I need to get my other mic fixed. That's what it boils down to. This one does fine under normal circumstances. When I speak lower, apparently people can't hear me sometimes. Big shout out to Tim Canova coming on the show yesterday, man. Thank you very much. I hope my audience appreciate it, and I hope it helps. I hope it helps. I don't have the biggest platform, but hopefully it's a feisty platform. Let's say it that way. Next week I have Jordan Sheridan coming on the show. He's going to be here on Wednesday at 5 p.m. That is also going to be a very good show. It should be interesting. It's like lefty schmoozing, I guess you can call it. So, one of my subscribers, Amala, sent me a clip. I saw this clip, and within 2 minutes, I'm screaming at my computer. Screaming, literally, full on screaming. And I stopped it, and I said I would watch the rest with my audience. And I'm going to do this video immediately. So, Amala, thank you very much. Like I said before, man, people send me stuff. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's a dry political clip for anybody else who doesn't watch politics. Like, if politics is not your bag, this clip will be just this kind of dry thing. Well, these people are talking about this kind of political stuff. Oh, it's boring. I mean, but that's kind of like people watching a chess game and not understanding what they're watching, and they think this is a boring game. All sorts of stuff is going on in that game. You just don't understand what you're watching. You don't understand the gravity, the significance of what's being said. Tulsi Gabbard. In fact, I'm just short. I'm not even gonna put all that into it. I've said before, man, Tulsi Gabbard. There are very few people Democrats who I would vote for a political office, president. She would be one of them, hands down. She would be one of them. The resistance, ladies and gentlemen. The resistance. Tulsi Gabbard calling James Mathis to account for what he said about Syria, meaning we had no idea whether or not Syria did it, but we struck them nonetheless. But there's something else more precious in this, more priceless, that I want to flag. But I'm gonna play the entire video. Let's hear Tulsi Gabbard in Congress and listen to what she's saying. This is mind-blowing, but she's right. Do you think?
Thank you, gentlemen, for your service. You know, the president has indicated recently his intention to launch U.S. military attacks against Syria. Article 1 of the Constitution gives Congress the sole power to declare war. Congress has not done so against the Syrian government. Section 3 of the War Powers Resolution requires the president to consult with Congress before introducing U.S. armed forces into situations of hostilities. Section 2 of the War Powers Resolution clarifies the constitutional powers of the president as commander-in-chief in Article 2, which you referenced, Secretary Mattis, to introduce forces into hostilities only pursuant to 1, a declaration of war, 2, specific statutory authorization, or 3, a national emergency created by an attack upon the U.S., its territories, possessions, or armed forces. Syria has not declared war against the U.S. or threatened the U.S. The launch of 59 missiles against Syria by Trump last year was illegal and did not meet any of those criteria in the War Powers Resolution.
Yes! Yes! Fucking yes! Somebody finally said it! It was illegal! The President of the United States made the determination on his own to launch a bunch of missiles into another country that was in no way threatening or attacking us. Neither did he go to Congress to get approval for this. The president wants to be at war but doesn't want to declare war. It's illegal! Somebody finally call it what it is. It is fucking illegal. You see one mainstream media outlet the president launches these missiles. Oh, he's presidential on this day. On the day that the president of the United States is doing something flamingly illegal, they call him presidential. Fucking yes, somebody says it, and god damn it, she said it when she was in the middle of Congress. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I saw this and I said, somebody other than me has been screaming that what took place was illegal. And what is about to take place is just as illegal. It is Congress who has the power to declare war. They didn't give the president that power for a reason, because they didn't want the president to act like a king. And the president has been acting like a king and telling fuck all to Congress. And Congress does not necessarily rein in the president to get across to the president that he is indeed a president and he is not a king. This is awesome to hear. This is awesome to hear. Let her keep going. Go ahead, Tulsi. Do your thing.
The Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2018, which was signed into law by President Trump, states that none of the funds made available by this act may be used with respect to Syria in contravention of the War Powers Resolution, including for the introduction of U.S. armed military forces into hostilities in Syria. My question is, will the President uphold the Constitution, the War Powers Resolution, and comply with the law that he signed by obtaining authorization from Congress before launching U.S. military attacks against Syria?
Congresswoman, we have not yet made any decision to launch military attacks into Syria. I think that when you look back at President Obama sending the U.S. troops into Syria, at the time he did, he also had to deal with this type of situation because we were going after a named terrorist group that was not actually named in the AUMF that put them in. This is a complex area, I'll be the first to admit.
It is simple, however, what the Constitution requires. So
it's not complex, sir. It's not complex. You just don't like it. You're constrained by law, so you call it complex because you don't like it. It's complex to you because, fuck, we need to figure out a way to get around this law. We need to fuck over the Constitution. We need to figure out a way. How can we get around this constitutional law? How can we do this? It's complex. I bet it is. I bet it is complex for you when you're trying to break the goddamn law. Let's let her keep going. And I like she starts. No, it's pretty simple. The Constitution is what it is. This law is what it is. Are you going to follow it or not? Are you going to follow it or not? God damn it. Good job, Tulsi. Keep going.
So, while you're correct in saying the president has not yet made a decision, my question is, will he abide by the Constitution and comply with the law?
Yeah, I believe that the president will carry out his duties under the Constitution to protect the country.
What would the objective of an attack on Syria be, and how does that serve the interests of the American people?
I don't want to talk about a specific attack that is not yet in the offing, knowing that these are decisions. This would be pre-decisional. Again, the president has not made that decision. However, looking...
What are you talking about? He just got on Twitter threatening Russia, saying that missiles were coming. What are you talking about? He just shook the... Macron, the French leader, who's been bashing labor and attacking labor, has said that, you know, he's gotten a deal with Donald Trump saying that they have this agreement that they're going to have a strong response against Syria. Trump is on Twitter giving presidential policy saying they're going to launch missiles. What do you mean they haven't made a decision? Are you saying that Trump is lying on Twitter? It's possible. But that's a big thing to say, that the president of the United States is lying. And mind you, the action they took before were missiles. So she's not wrong for this. Sounds like you're going to do a missile strike. I mean, that's what you did before. Why wouldn't you do anything different? And why wouldn't you make it even more severe if this is what you believe, if this is the logic to which you're functioning by? He's been extremely disingenuous.
At the Chemical Warfare Convention, I think it's by far in the best interest of civilization, certainly in the best interest of America, that that convention be obeyed by the nations that have signed it. And what has happened in Salisbury, England, and now has happened in Syria again, shows that this is not an idle concern.
So if the decision is made, as you have stated publicly, you're laying all the options on the table for the president. If the decision is made to launch a military attack against Syria, Russia has already responded, saying that they would respond to our U.S. strike. As this action is considered, can you justify for the American people how going to war with Russia over Syria serves the interests of the American people?
No.
Yes. Fucking yes. I love this woman. I love this woman. Oh my God. That is amazing. Yes. Somebody asked the question. Like, you have no idea how aggravating it is sometimes to be on this little channel. This, I love my audience. It's a frisky audience. But I often have this thing of, it is a lot of work to try to get people in small increments to your channel. And so it's like, yes, I would say this. And yes, maybe somebody else will pick up something that I would say and hand on to someone else and somebody else, and it funnels up. But I have been saying this for weeks, asking these questions, and to have these questions presented in Congress to Mathis on a higher level feels amazing. It feels amazing. I got to be honest, it feels amazing. So to hear Tulsi Gabbard kind of make this point, even if you do this, what interest would going to war in a nuclear war for all intents and purposes over Syria? Well, why? That doesn't make sense. Why? What military strategic interests are you getting out of this, knowing full well that this could lead to a larger conflict, World War III? Call it what it is. That's not hyperbole. Call it what it is. Why? It's not on the border of North Carolina. Why? Why? What are you doing? What sense does this make? That's his answer. I haven't seen up to this point. It feels euphoric that she asked the question. That's all I'm saying. It feels immensely fucking euphoric. Let's hear his answer. It's going to be ridiculous.
Oh, Congresswoman, I can't answer that question. I'm not ready to speculate that would happen.
What are you talking about? What are you... Fucking aggravating. You're in the well of Congress. A sitting Congress member is asking you questions about something that you yourself may be doing. And in one case after the next, you can't speculate. You don't want to talk about it. The president of the United States is speculating. He's on Twitter threatening Russia. Now you're down here talking about the military guys. I don't want to speculate. Why not? Why not? Dealing with the Constitution is complex. Yeah, I would imagine if you're trying to fucking break the Constitution, it would be somewhat complex. If you're restrained by its laws and you're being called to account saying that you're restrained by the laws, making the president aware that he's not a king and he indeed is bound by law. Good job, Tulsi. On the second point, what are you getting out of this? This will be potentially World War III. Why the hell are you in Syria? And what are you getting out of Syria working with terrorists in order to take down that government? Where in the Constitution says that that's permissible? And not just where in the Constitution says it's permissible. What are you getting out of it? You're talking about a potential larger conflict with a nuclear power nation. Even if you believe you had a just cause for war, what is the just cause in Syria to be in World War III? It is mealy mouth. I'm not going to say that. I was going to call him an alcoholic. That would be wrong. I don't know if he's an alcoholic. He just looks like a drinker. My granddad was an alcoholic. Mathis looks like one. So I'm not going to say that. That would be unfair. What I will say, it is extraordinarily disingenuous, and that's putting it mildly. I have some other adjectives I would like to apply to this, but that's putting it extremely mildly. You're being asked by a member of Congress. Your president is on there saying that he's potentially starting World War III. Now, you, being his advisor, I'm calling you to account. What are you getting out of this? Don't tell me that you don't want to speculate. You have war planners that speculate about some of everything. That's so disingenuous. They have war planners that talk about global warming and the impacts of global warming on the United States and the United States military and our military readiness. We have war planners that think about wars with China and Russia. That wars on two continents at once. They think about some of everything. But in this very real present case in which the president of the United States is threatening other nations, you don't want to speculate. You don't want to speculate. Keep going.
Would you not say that it is a highly likely occurrence given what Russia has stated directly, that they will respond?
No, Congresswoman, I would not. And there's a lot of ways to respond to the violation of the Chemical Weapons Convention. diplomatically, economically, militarily,
Sure.
that taken in total would represent, I think, what we have to do in this world if we're over in accordance with international norms and international law.
The problem is, Defense Secretary, that the last time the President of the United States fired off missiles into Syria. That's the problem. Meaning, even though you're saying he has a range of these things, there are a range of ideas. Who knows? There are a range of ideas. Why weren't those range of ideas on the table last time? You, the President of the United States, fired off a bunch of cruise missiles into another country that was in no way attacking us, in no way at our gates, and in no way of importance to the American population. That's what you did. That's what you guys did last time. So her asking you, are you going to use military options? And you telling us, well, I mean, there's a range of options. Why weren't those range of options used last time? What changed? What fundamentally changed between last time and now? It seems like if you were having any options, it would be an escalation of the previous thing, seeing as in your mind, there's been another breach. What you're saying makes no sense. What you're saying makes absolutely zero sense.
One last question. The 2001 AUMF is the authorization with which our U.S. forces are in Syria today. While there's been much progress made in the counter-ISIS campaign, and they're close to being defeated in Syria, Al-Qaeda has grown stronger. Brett McGurk stated just over a year ago that al-Nusra is now Al-Qaeda's largest formal affiliate in history. So Al-Qaeda has grown stronger in Syria. Mm-hmm. Why is this, and why have our U.S. policies not gone after Al-Qaeda in Syria?
Wait a minute. No, Tulsi. No. You fucked up your question. Yeah, you fucked up your question. She starts off like oh God. Let me show you what I mean by this. All right, so she starts this question off in a very specific direction. The AUMF, the Authorization for Military Forces in Iraq, is what the United States is using to be in Syria. That's how she starts her question off. And then she deviates from that and says Al-Qaeda is growing into the country. Now, it's possible that she only wanted to give that information out to the public and not necessarily go further. But it sounds like she was starting that question off in a sense of, how are we in Syria using the authorization of military force for Iraq? How are we using something that's specific to Iraq for Syria? It looks a little illegal. In the same way that Trump fired off those missile strikes into Syria, it looks like you're in a country illegally. That's where it looks like she was going. But she deviated into the Al-Qaeda thing, saying, why is that? Look, you guys have assisted in smashing a country to bits. And when countries are smashed to bits, people need food, people need clothing. If some organizational group can provide those things, people are probably going to go in line with that group. If those people feel they can push back against the American imperialists who are in our country, then yeah, you're probably going to lean to the right and lean to right-wing groups. Not necessarily because you full-on agree with their ideology, because they're the fastest thing moving. There's all sorts of reasons why people would tilt to the left when somebody is smashing the shit out of their country when Western powers is doing this. And yeah, they probably don't like a side either, because at the end of the day, they would probably rather implement some kind of religious rule over that country, and a side is a pain in the ass to that. Let her go back. When she said, I had my sound off, but when she said the authorization for military force is what we're using, my heart leapt. Yes, somebody else is saying it. And then she deviated. It was like, oh, it was all at once. It was all at once. It was like within a split second. Yeah. Oh. Let's let her answer. Let's let him answer.
Our policy is in Syria, which is a very complex battle space, Congresswoman, that where they're located right now, we do not want to go up into another part of Syria. We're doing this by, with, and through our partner forces. They do not have the capability to move into that region.
Let's talk about this chemical.
The operative, that's such a weird way to respond. Like, she needed one additional question. Where we're doing this in this part of Syria. That's what he said. We're in this part of Syria and we're doing XYZ. The very next question should have been, the authorization for military force was for Iraq. How are you using this to be in Syria at all in the way that you've just said you were in Syria? It sounds like you're doing something illegal, Mathis. That's the operative question. That's the very next question. I'm sorry. I thought there was some kind of conflict. General Mathis, your authorization is for here, this space, this area. If you're telling me that you're taking at operations in something like this part of Syria, well, you can understand that people would have questions on how on earth are you using an authorization for this, How? What Mattis is doing is illegal. What the United States government is doing in Syria is illegal. And I love the fact that she brings it up. I just wish she would have smashed that last point home. But making the point that firing missiles off in Syria is illegal, by definition, if you require Congress for acts of war, how on earth are you in another country in this way? Fucking A. Tulsi Gabbard, man. Good job, Tulsi. Good job, Tulsi. Let's see. Yeah, I'm Canadian and we train terrorists. Propaganda. I appreciate you admitted it. So you're saying they admitted that it's their reasoning? MJ Wing. Let's see. Both parties love Mattis. He must know where all the bodies are buried. Hello, jerk. That's funny. Ron Paul and Tulsi Gabbard, two who dared to even ask the necessary questions. Who's the other one? There was somebody else. Rand Paul. And there was another one. I thought it was a Democratic senator. And even Sanders. Even Sanders have asked those questions of, look, that Syria thing seems somewhat illegal, but at the very least we shouldn't be in Yemen. It's very few finite people who come out and ask those questions, and those people should be honored. I will flag those videos anytime I see them. So, good job, Tulsi Gabbard. Good job. Does it matter? I don't know. Is it going to have any weight? I don't know. But at the very least, she said it in one brimming, shining moment of truth and honesty. She said it. She asked the questions to the power structure that I have been asked on this channel, and it feels fucking euphoric that somebody has finally did it. Not so much because I asked the questions, but because somebody asked the questions to the people, to that power structure. The fact that those questions were able to be asked in the first place. Is that not the definition of representation? Is it not the definition of representation? So, for people who say that the political system is ossified, those people are right. For people who say that it can't be changed, those people will be wrong. I think those people would be wrong. Now, what it would take to change it? That's the rub. Who's taking the lift? That's the rub. I will leave it at that. I have another video after this that one of my awesome subscribers sent me also that I want to show because I think it's a great video. So, alright guys, I'm going to end it here. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support through Patreon. Amala, thank you very much for the video. Fucking awesome. Thanks, everyone.